Hello and welcome to PRTV. We are kicking off our second episode, and today I'm joined by two of my good friends from the Philadelphia area. To my left is Kyle Harty, and to my right is Jeff Gibbard. Alright, so we will be discussing mostly actually about social media today, since these two are emerging social media gurus, if I might say, but they do specialize in social media at their companies. So why don't we just dive right in, find out a little about them, and see what they have to say. So, Kyle, where are you at right now?
I am at Neiman Group Advertising Agency as a social media coordinator.
All right. And Jeff, where are you at?
I'm at the public relations firm Divine & Powers as the director of the social media practice group.
Which, by the way, is the greatest name for any PR firm ever.
Divine & Powers.
Yeah, absolutely. So, all right. So you guys are both, heads of the social media practice, and you guys are very influential in that. So, I'm going to start off with Kyle, but this question is for the two of you. And that, since social media are new positions, how did you guys come to find just a strictly social media position? Especially for you, Kyle, coming right out of college.
Well, before I started my internship actually in '09 at Mullen, I kind of was self-educating myself on social media, and then after my internship and during my internship, I really found this new passion for social media, and I wanted to I knew it was vital if I wanted to work in the PR industry. So through that, when I went to apply for a job, I actually applied for a PR position, but I used Twitter to kind of communicate with the agency, find out who to contact, and send over all my credentials. And it so happened that they were looking for someone to do social media, and I kind of just fell into it, and I interned, and then I was hired as a full-time social media coordinator.
Awesome. So we'll be talking a little bit more about that as far as the process, because I know a lot of students are, not really scrambling, but getting to that point where they're starting their job process. Yep. So, Jeff, how did you come to find the social media position in Divine Powers?
Well, when I first came out of my MBA program, I was actually looking for a social media position, or really anything that involved the internet and marketing together in some capacity. And the position I got wasn't exactly right, so while I was at that job, kind of doing it about 30% of the time, half the time, I had set up a job search dashboard using Google Reader and RSS feeds from different job search sites, and I just looked for social media positions everywhere. I searched Mashable's job board. I scoured the World Wide Web for positions within 25 miles of my house that had something to do with social media. And ultimately, I came across this position for what was at the time called the social media manager. Found out the company that it was for, and I actually used social media to make sure that I got an interview. I used Twitter, LinkedIn, and Facebook, and I essentially found every employee at the company, and I essentially stalked them until they, I built a relationship with a couple of the sort of lower associates until, I made my way to get a conversation with the partners. Went in, the first interview went well. I came back, gave a presentation, and that was when it happened.
Very cool. So now, social media is always changing, and you guys, you manage your own accounts, and so what is a day in the life of a social media, coordinator or manager?
So, day in the life is I go on, I check Facebook, Twitter, Hootsuite, check what's going on, what's being said, what conversations are happening, and I do that throughout the entire day. And then I also am working to educate internally the agency, so I look at trends, current things that are happening, and that's a big majority of what I'm doing right now. There are some different things in there as well, like writing white papers and things like that.
I actually just started a blog called Day in the Life of a Social Media Director. So
perfect.
Just get go online, look for it. But just to run you through an average day, when I get to work, I check my email box, my starred items, things like that, and then I dive right into Twitter, and I check my mentions box for both myself, the company, any of the accounts that I'm monitoring, and from there, I devote about an hour a day to writing a blog post on some topic that's social media related. From that point until the end of the day, it's really just a wide variety of different things, from client meetings, internal education about social media, educating one of our clients about some aspect of social media. A lot of what I do is listening for our clients and for our company and for our brand about relevant conversations that either our clients or we can enter and make some sort of an impact by providing value.
Perfect. So, what are some of the challenges when dealing with clients through social media? Because obviously it's still fairly new realm for a lot of companies. So, what are some of the big challenges?
Yeah. I would say the biggest challenge right now that we're dealing with is we're dealing with a lot of clients that are saying, we just want to dip our toe in the water. We just want to figure out what this whole thing is about. And really, a lot of what the social media position, at least in my experience, has been so far, is education. We're educating our clients, or at least our prospects, on why it's important. Educating them about the changing nature of influence and why it's so vital that 10 years ago, if you weren't in the yellow pages, you weren't found. 5 years ago, if you didn't have a website, you weren't found. Nowadays, it's getting to the point where if you don't have a Twitter account, people can find you, but they can't communicate with you in a way that they're currently communicating.
Yeah, and I think it's sometimes the clients are also playing the numbers game where they want to see these numbers by this certain time, and you have to kind of explain that's not it's not really the way it works. And like you said, dipping your toes in the water, it's more of a commitment. It's a process. It's not just let's just play around for a little bit and see what's going on.
Yeah, there's a quote. Seth Godin had a blog post in which he said the reason so many companies have a problem with social media is because it's a process, not an event. And I think that to your point, at least a lot of our prospects, we have to really convince them that this isn't something that they're just going to take on and try for a couple months, but really it's something they're going to take on and start as the first 3 months and really get their feet wet in it, but that it's a commitment.
All right, so Jeff, I'm going to direct this question at you because I love your blog, Social Media Philanthropy. That one you guys have to go check out. But there's a lot of our listeners, they do blog or they're starting out blogs. Now, what are some challenges in keeping your content fresh all the time? But what advice do you have just by managing a daily blog, right?
Yeah.
So what are some of the challenges? But what is some of the advice that you can offer in people that are looking to manage something consistently?
Absolutely. Just for the record, I've been blogging for like a little over 2 years, and it wasn't always that I blogged every day. But I'll tell you, when I made the decision to blog every day, a shift happened. It changed the way that I viewed the world around me, and it was a major shift in my perspective. So I would, I know it sounds difficult and it sounds like a big deal, but if you can blog every day or every other day, I think it's a huge advantage for you because it becomes to be, it gets to be like a routine for you, like waking up and brushing your teeth. Like I wake up, and in the morning shower, to be honest, I'm thinking about what I'm going to write that day or new topics. But really what's helped a lot is I made an editorial calendar, and I've planned out essentially for the next 3 months, what am I writing about? And it's flexible. If there's a topic, a trend that emerges that needs to be discussed, it's going to take precedence and it's going to come into the blog. But I try to have some sort of an order so that it's not like every day I sit down and it's like, what am I going to blog about today? It's more like, well, today I'm sitting down and according to what I've planned out earlier, today we're talking about this aspect of blogs or this aspect of Twitter or changing nature of influence or any of the different aspects of social media.
So Kyle, I actually have a different question for you. We were touching on this earlier, in that you're fairly new out of college. You graduated in 2010, right? So yeah, less than a year.
Yep.
So how did the job process go for you? You said that you had an internship, but how did everything go? When did you start looking? Because a lot of people are sweating that right now.
Yeah. So I started out right after my internship in 2009. The fall semester, I hit the ground running, and for me, I knew I wanted to stay local, so I had it kind of narrowed down my job search in a sense because I wanted to stay to the Philadelphia area, and the Philly Ad Club has an extensive list on there of all the agencies in the area. And when I was looking at agencies, I was really looking at work and, more importantly, the culture of an agency. And I just came across Naming Group. I went on their website, and they have an About Me page, and they ask everybody at the agency 5 standard questions, and all the answers were kind of sarcastic and quirky, and I just knew I really like this agency. I would love to work for them. So I went onto Twitter just followed them. And I sent them a tweet just recognizing their work, and through some of the industry newsletters that I receive every day, I saw that they wanted some new biz, and so I congratulated them, and they followed back and then wrote me back and said, hey, thanks pal, you know, for working on that campaign. And I decided to send a direct message, and I just said, you know, hey, like who would I contact about this PR position? Just so I could kind of talk to them more on a personal level. And they wrote me back with all the information, and I wrote up a cover letter, and I had some substance, some credibility, because I had, you know, that direct contact now, like, into the agency. I sent my stuff out, and several weeks later I got a direct message from my current boss, and saying he'd love to have me in to interview, and went in, interviewed, wrote my portfolio, and got an internship with the opportunity for a full-time position, which I also got, and this is history.
So rather than sending out a lot of resumes, it seems like that you were searching, but then once you found a place that seemed like the right fit, then you turned to social media to kind of get your way and get your foot in the door.
Exactly.
So you didn't even have to sweat with, you know, 15, 20.
It was really weird for me because I kind of like set up an Excel sheet and kind of put the agencies that I liked and others, you know, that, you know, kind of like when you're looking at colleges. And I set out when I had contacted them if I had heard anything back. And Neiman Group was like my #1 pick. And so like when I heard back from them, and this was like February, so this is like several months before I'm even graduating, I was like, I had what I wanted. And it was just unbelievable in a sense, because I was like, wow, that was easier than I thought.
Yeah, right, yeah.
But, you know, and but a lot of the several agencies, you kind of just enter in your name, your email, a link to your like your page, your LinkedIn page, and then you kind of just send it off. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to really like be able to create sort of like a relationship before I just sent out my stuff to just anyone. And I'd like to do it earlier, showing that I was proactive and, you know, not getting lost in the shuffle when it came down to like those last couple of months.
Absolutely. So
Can I just build on that? Because I think there are a couple of really important lessons for those of you out there listening to this. That a couple things that Kyle did there was, one, he built the relationship before the actual interview process. He didn't go in there cold. He had something, and I think that's really good advice. The second thing is, speaking to, you know, putting in all of your sites and this and that, is that you want to start now building that social capital, that social proof. You know, whether you have a blog, that's going to showcase to a potential employer how you think. If you're on Twitter, don't just tweet about mindless nonsense. Do something that's relevant and valuable, because if somebody is going to scope you out, a potential employer, as a social media person, you want them to see that your tweets are causing some sort of conversation to take place, and it's going to spur further dialogue. Because ultimately, those are all the things that they're going to hire you to do with clients and for the organization.
Yep.
So, you know, being organized before it, being proactive, and building that relationship, not being afraid to follow up, and building social proof. I think that's like the winning combo to get a job in social media.
yeah, absolutely.